Sorry.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal truth that there is no such thing as coincidences or mistakes. We are here to share our life experience on that subject with you. My name is Deb Miller.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Dean.
Okay, so we rehearsed the whole order of things before we even got on. And then
And
we were
yes,
also discussing how our blonde hair just has made us blonde over the course of our life.
I'm soon to be a
I'm
blonde. Just stand by.
I'm
oh
Susan
my God.
Doyle. Nice to see you. And we have Laurie back. And I have to
Yay.
say to the audience, so um, I had the biggest smile on my face all day long yesterday after having you on and reconnecting. And it just brings back, like, I am here to tell you, we had like a great, like, we grew up in a great time.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we just
Mm.
grew up in a great time. And it just brought me back to your house. I talked to Debbie last night before we went to bed, and I'm like, do you remember? We would go and your mom was there, and she used to sell Mary Kay and all the things, and we would
Yes.
play, and oh, it was just
And
so.
we were never allowed in your formal living room. That was like
Oh,
We
big
weren't allowed to
time.
touch the furniture, which was, yeah.
Oh, you do
Because of
not
the
say.
You guys
newly,
were very fancy, very fancy. But it just brought me back. So I'm so happy to have you back. And I really, really hope that you are on here regularly, selfishly, just so I can see your face because it just reminds me of just like we had an idyllic childhood. We really
Yes.
did. I mean,
Good times.
there was shit that went on, which we are actually, this is kind of cycling in. There was shit that went on for sure, but I mean, my God, like growing up in Avon, like
so fun.
what could be better? What could be better?
What could be better
Anyway,
is growing up in
in
Simsbury like Kristen
Simsbury.
did,
Yep.
the next town
The
over.
yeah,
rival
well, she
town.
graduated 2 years, 2 years behind us. So
Yeah.
as I said before we started rolling here, that we would have even
We would
talked to
never
her
go
in
to.
high
I don't
school.
You know
count
what's
it.
cool though about
Right.
all of us that I find very difficult to find in my age group is I think across the board, we all adored high school. Debbie was just
Mm.
talking about it before we signed on. I loved high school. Most people I talk to are like, oh, those were horrible years. Like, I have the fondest
Yeah,
memories of my
You
high
three
school.
have that in common. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
okay, maybe
I
not
have
Lori.
some good and
Yeah.
then some very trying moments. So
Right.
I will
yeah,
say that
I did not love college. I'll tell you
I
that.
didn't either.
I never really even wanted to be there. To
Yeah.
truth be told, I wanted to be a hairdresser and my mother wouldn't let me. She made me go to college. So,
Yeah.
I
but
never
anyway,
knew that about you.
yeah.
Never.
hmm
it's not
Wow.
No,
too late.
It's
No, I
never too
know. Follow
late.
your
no, it's
dreams.
not.
Follow your
It's not.
dreams, Sue.
But like it I guess it just doesn't happen anymore. Like I mean, I had friends like Kevin and Jules from the time I was in kindergarten, and we all just like took care of each other,
Hmm.
regardless of, how you kind of went in and out of the friend group, right? But or, different classes and all those things. And there was just this feeling like everybody had your back because it was
Hmm.
so small
So
back then.
small. Yeah,
Mm.
you meet these people and they're like, my high school was, or like my daughter, she graduated, her graduating class was 500 people.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
All
Ours was
of
Debbie, ours was
Avon, when
like
I graduated, was
180.
less than 300.
Yeah,
Ours was
yeah.
80, 180.
180,
I mean,
yeah.
there was like, I'm
Oh,
telling you,
You
like
guys
the
were even
the
smaller.
light next to Luke's Donuts blinked by 9 o'clock. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the kind of town
wow.
we lived in. But anyway, so I digress, but I do have to say I'm so happy to have Lori back. So we are going to continue our conversation. And today we are going to talk about the, I guess, the principles or the steps for adult children of alcoholics. The acronym is ACA. And I will let you take over.
I'm going to step in for just 1 second here. We talked yesterday or last week about when you're in a 12-step program, whether it's Al-Anon, ACA, Overeaters Anonymous, NA, AA, whatever it is, you step into these programs and they tell you that if you stay and you do the work that is asked of you, certain things are going to change in your life. And in AA and NA, they have what's called the promises. And the promises are things that start to come true as you're working the 12 steps and you're in the fellowship. And when I first read or heard the 12 steps, I just would sob because I'm sorry, not the 12 steps, the promises. I would sob because I thought there's no way in hell that any of those things are going to come true for me. And every single solid one of them did. So we've asked Kristen to read those promises so you can get a better understanding of them. And then Laurie is going to talk about the ACA fellowship and the promises of that fellowship. So take it away, Kristen Dean.
All right. And before I start reading this, I just have to say, when I returned to AA 4.5 years ago, my first meeting back, they handed me the promises to read. And it's funny you say sobbing, Deb. I started reading them and had recall and could not finish because I just was sobbing. I had to hand them to my neighbor, but I digress. I will read them now. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. And I'm going to comment on one of them, my favorite one, because I read it and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. So I've talked about this. I had a lot of regrets. But in looking back now, and people come in and they're a mess, no matter what program you hop into. I look back at everything in my life and everything was for a reason. There are no coincidences or mistakes. So thanks for letting me read those. I love those.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Laurie, what is ACA? And if you feel comfortable, give us a little history, either before or after the readings, but what is ACA?
So, adult children of alcoholics, and I have the big red book to show what it says in the bottom.
Yeah.
Which is probably gonna be backwards, but alcoholic or dysfunctional families. They'll tell you when you go to your first meeting, like in the beginners, they'll be like, this is, again, like we were saying yesterday, like it kind of is for anyone that grew up with some sort of dysfunction. That's why it's the / dysfunctional.
So basically everybody in America.
Maybe you had a parent that was a hoarder. Okay. Literally, that's a dysfunction. Maybe you had a parent that was overly OCD or an overeater. Like it's just dysfunction. It's not really just that alcoholic. That's why they have the /. And so even though it's called adult children of alcoholics, they say that it really can apply and does apply. And a lot of people come from all over, from different places.
I
And
have a question already.
oh, yeah, go ahead.
So mental health illness, would that fall under the dysfunction? Like if you
Yeah,
have a parent or somebody with mental health issues?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Because like there's this thing called the model, and then I will go into the traits because once you read the traits, it sort of says it all.
Okay.
But this ACA, again, it's going to be backwards, but this disease model of adult child, it just talks about the body, mind, spirit.
You're not backwards. I can read it.
Okay. PTSD is the body, stored trauma or neglect, right?
Mm.
Mind, which is your 14 traits that we're going to read, what's going on in your mind, and your spirit, which is your hidden inner child that might be wounded from your trauma, right? So this could apply to anything, right? You could have neglect for any reason. You
Right.
could just have a, so um this book is like a Bible, right? Just like the blue book for Alcoholics Anonymous, which I have, right? It's a Bible, right? And the one for Al-Anon, which I didn't show yesterday or last week, this Path to Recovery. These are like Bibles, right? So what I loved about ACA and why I ended up going from Al-Anon to ACA is just a friend just recommended it and said, hey, you've been in Al-Anon a long time. And like, I've heard your whole story and a lot of your stuff is about you, not just the person, with a problem in your life. And they just thought I could really benefit from it. And so from the very first meeting, from the moment they read these laundry list things, I was like, it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, I found a place that I think is going to be for me to heal again, another way.
So Laurie, you went from Al-Anon to ACA, and how long were you in Al-Anon before you discovered the benefits of ACA?
Yeah, I was doing that math this morning because I knew you're going to ask that. Um,
I always
so
ask the hard
it's
question.
been 10, it actually is 10 years since I first went, not as long, 10 years
Wow.
that I first went to ACA. And so prior to, so it's been 20, so I probably almost 10 years, believe it or not.
So can
I
you
had been in the
say,
other one and then someone had told me about this. And I had heard of other things. I'd actually heard of overeating anonymous, like OEA,
OA.
whatever they call it, whatever. I'd
I
heard
think it's
people
OA.
talk about OA,
Yeah,
whatever
so.
it
I think
is.
it's just OA.
I think it's OA.
It's
Yeah.
just OA.
Yeah.
But like this one, I was like, no, like I really hadn't, which is so strange. Like I maybe heard someone mention it once, but like it's interesting that I feel like in Al-Anon, I don't know, they don't want to talk about other fel. It's not they don't want to talk about. They don't do that. They don't.
Very true.
Yes,
It's very
very
true.
true.
So it's just a friend that kind of pulled me
oh,
aside.
I see.
Nope.
Okay, so it wasn't like, if you were sharing at an Al-Anon meeting or speaking about, speaking your truth, that somebody picked up and said, hey, you should do this. It's
Well,
not like that.
right. Well, it was like that, but it's on the side on the QT, like a
Okay,
close friend. They're
I
not going to
see.
do that in a meeting. Someone's not going to say that
Okay.
publicly. Yeah, but it was on the side. Hey, I've been going to this. I think you would like it. And this was
Okay.
my mentor friends that I was. But so yeah, but in a meeting, they're not gonna say, hey, and everyone here should go to AC. Like they won't do that.
Or they
Okay.
especially won't be like, you
Yeah.
need more help than this.
Yeah.
Go to ACA. That would be
Go
really
down
This
the
won't
hall
do it.
when you're done here.
Your
And
problems are bigger.
one of the things that I learned, Laurie, when I as an alcoholic entering Al-Anon, and I have yet to go to ACA. I think I would benefit from it, and I want that book, that red book. But they said it was important for not, me being an alcoholic. Don't mention your other you can say I'm from another program, but like if someone's sitting in that room and they have, and I'm just using this as a generalization, a husband that beats the shit out of them, alcoholic, and you say you're an alcoholic, they're gonna freak out and like leave, you know what I mean? Like,
they
so
might
I was
shut
told,
down.
yeah, shut down, not share. So I was told early on, just if you're in another program and you walk into Al-Anon, you know, NA, OA, just I'm in another 12-step program so as not to scare
Okay.
people off. So
Mhm.
that's what I learned. I don't know if you learned that, Lori, or if you heard that anywhere, but
They just say, I'm in a sister program
yes.
or something like that. But the funny thing is like, when you're going in the same geographical area, I walked in ACA and I was like, I know you. But there were a lot of new people I did not know. But there were
Sure.
a lot of familiar, not a lot, but there were a bunch of familiar faces. But a lot of people that I had never seen. And then people there that said, yeah, no, I never went to Al-Anon because it didn't apply to them in that way.
Right.
We did this. So it's interesting. But I want to read these because this is going to spawn. I mean, we could talk an hour on each one of these. Like it's crazy, right? Like, and this is very vulnerable to read and to see. Like you'll see, but it's really like it's kind of it hits you. So we became isolated. So one, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures.
Mhm.
We became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. Three, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. Four, we either become alcoholics, marry them, or both, or find another compulsive personality, such as a workaholic, to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. Five, we live life from the viewpoint of victims and are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. Six, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults. Gossip. That's what I always. Seven, we get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. Eight, we became addicted to excitement. Nine, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and rescue. 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. Denial. 11, we judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. 12, we are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment and will do anything to hold on to a relationship in order not to experience painful abandonment feelings, which we receive from living with sick people who are not there for us emotionally. 13, alcoholism is a family disease. We became para-alcoholics and took on the characteristics of that disease, even though we did not pick up the drink. 14, para-alcoholics are reactors rather than actors. It's a lot. But before we talk, will you just read the promises? Because
I
in a
will.
meeting, we just do this and no one speaks, and then we read the next one. And it's sort of
Okay.
like you'll see why.
Okay. So these are the ACA promises. One, we will discover our real identities by loving and accepting ourselves. Two, our self-esteem will increase as we give ourselves approval on a daily basis. Three, fear of authority figures and the need to people please will leave us. Four, our ability to share intimacy will grow inside of us. Five, as we face our abandonment issues, we will be attracted to strengths and become more tolerant of weaknesses. Six, we will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. Seven, we will learn how to play and have fun in our lives. Eight, we will choose to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves. Nine, healthy boundaries and limits will become easier for us to set. 10, fear of failure and success will leave us as we intuitively make healthier choices. 11, with help from our ACA support group, we will slowly release our dysfunctional behaviors. And 12, gradually, with our higher powers' help, we will learn to accept the best and get it. Love it.
Wow.
It's and then I won't read it all because it's a little long. We've done a lot of readings. The solution. So in a meeting, they'll do the traits, the promises, and then someone will read a solution, and that's how they open. But I'll just read like one sentence because it's a lot of reading. But the solution is to become your own loving parent. As ACA becomes a safe place for you, you will find freedom to express all the hurts and fears you have kept inside and free yourself from the shame and blame that are carryovers from the past. You will become an adult who is imprisoned no longer by childhood reactions, You will recover the child within you, learning to accept and love yourself. And the healing begins when we risk moving out of isolations. Feelings and buried memories will return. By gradually releasing the burden of unexpressed grief, we slowly move out of the past. We learn to reparent ourselves with gentleness, humor, love, and respect. This process allows us to see our biological parents as instruments of our existence. Our actual parent is a higher power who some of us choose to call God. Although we had alcoholic or dysfunctional parents, our higher power gave us the 12 steps of recovery. And there's more, but
Mm.
but that kind of sums it up,
Yeah.
that you learn to be your own loving parent and you learn to rely on yourself and your inner strength and all that. And you heal the inner child wounds,
Mm.
that stuff, that PTSD, that trauma. And there's a book, and I love it. It's got a tree of like the kind of some of the negative traits on the front, and then on the back, kind of the positive, like
Mm.
distrust, procrastination, isolation, perfectionism, stuff our feelings, judge ourselves harshly, self-centeredness, terrified of abandonment, addicted to excitement. And then on the back, it's like trust, feeling, service, helping, honesty, accepting mistakes, emotional sobriety. Like it's just a wonderful program. And the whole book, workbook, what I like about this is it's your 12-step book. And it's like
Mhm.
you go through it page by page. In Al-Anon, there are workbooks and blue books to do your 12 steps. Um, I really like this one better. There's something
Mhm.
about it. I just like it better. And so and there's grids you have to fill out, and so that's what you go through with your,
Mm.
but they have a real solid, I mean, it's not that the other one isn't. I just enjoyed this one more.
Sure.
Um,
Are you
I don't know,
talking about the
just
blueprint for progress?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I did that. That was very comprehensive.
Yeah.
It was
And
really impressive.
yeah, and this is just like the ACA version of the Blueprint for Progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
Did
I love
you?
that so much. It's
Yeah, it's
like
great.
so
It's so positive.
yeah, and being like the AA thing is a lot is it's very similar, but it's for some people, and me included, I can only do so much AA stuff. Like going to
Right.
doing Al-Anon or AC, like it's a different
The
part
shift.
there's a shift into something that you can do that you can grow in. And I just love that.
So, Laurie, I have a question. When you first got to ACA, based on the things that you read that develop in a child, that did you have all these like unbelievable light bulb moments when you were sitting there? You're like, okay, no, that makes sense. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like, did you sit there and say, holy shit, like, yes, now I know why, or yes,
Mm.
yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah. I was like almost angry and sad at the same time because, like, the first time I went and they were sitting there reading this laundry list, by the time they get halfway through, I was like crying, you know, and then they're reading the promises and the solution. And I was just like, and then I went in the back to a beginners meeting because, just like, they have like a beginners and they take you off. And I just remember like when they came around and like everyone just like, okay, do you have questions? Like, and whatever. And I was just like, I'm a little mad. Like, I feel like this was like a little secret I needed to know about because I
Mhm.
right away was like, oh my gosh, like this is really, it really spoke to me. It really triggered me. And I just went home and cried, I remember. And I
And
didn't
the
leave without the red. I literally that night bought the red book. I was like, what?
angry in the sense that angry and sad in the sense that there was time wasted with these behavior patterns for
Mhm.
you as an individual, or anger, resentment towards the parent, or both.
No, all about because like at this point I had already forgiven my mom. Or
Okay.
and I want to say that, oh, that came out wrong. It's not just her. I had two
Mm.
parents
Mhm.
that had. that were problem drinkers. I won't even call them alcoholics, right? Because that's another thing they say, like, don't label, but like they were problem drinkers, right?
They had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol.
Right. And so it's not that I was past that. So the anger was about I felt I'd wasted time. And I felt like I wish I knew about it. And I felt like I would have maybe been, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, where has this been? This
Hmm.
really resonated. And I probably was at that point, like, it's not that I wasn't getting anything out of Al-Anon, but I was like ready to do the deeper dive on
It
and
was like the
Yes.
like,
logical next step.
The
yeah.
deeper dive.
The
That's right.
deeper dive
Yeah.
Interesting.
into the me. And a lot of
Hmm.
times when I was there in the other meetings, in the background, I was thinking about, you know, my situation at home. Whereas this is
Hmm.
just like, this is all me,
Mm.
right? And like, and they say you don't have to have all, like if you sit, they preface it with like, you might not identify with all these things. And that doesn't mean like, oh, but like, if like three or four of them speak to, you know what I mean? Because like some of these things, like to be honest, I wasn't afraid of authority figures. I probably had the opposite. If there was an authority figure that challenged me, I was sort of like, well, screw you. I'm
Mm.
challenging you right back. I was not like afraid of authority figures. It's almost literally an opposite, and that there's a oppositional defiance is a thing, and a lot of people with ADHD have it. So if someone's like trying to, anyway, like a teacher's being what felt like harsh to me, criticism
Hmm.
wise, or
Hmm.
something, like I said, I wouldn't cower. I would challenge them back, which in maybe a bad disrespectful way, like, oh, you're
Mm.
gonna
Hmm.
you just made me feel disrespected, and that's probably with um the criticism taking that we are frightened by. So definitely personal criticism or something that is remotely like criticism. I still have that in, I still working through that, like, because I still get triggered from when I do feel like, because I was struggling with a lot of my struggle. I had a lot of struggles in school. And it was because I was an undiagnosed ADHD and I needed help, but
Mm.
nobody, they just, oh, you're whatever. Well, it turns out I'm not, I had teachers tell me that I was dumb. I had a teacher
Mm.
tell me, I had an eighth grade teacher send me to the principal's office because I asked too many questions in algebra.
Mm.
This is like a thing for me.
Hmm.
Turns out I ended up being a computer science major and extremely mathematically. I wanted him to literally explain the equation. He's like, I don't have time for your deep dive question. And he
That's
sent
that
me to the
teacher.
office. So that was the beginning of me feeling less than
Yeah.
and
Right.
feeling ashamed and shame, like really feeling really bad about myself. That went on. That I still get triggered if someone's like questioning my intelligence. That's what the stuff that gets me in trouble in my work adult life. If someone starts to challenge me, I'm like, you have no idea what I know. You know what I mean?
Mm.
My
Hmm.
nasty person comes out, and that's the stuff I still have to work on. Wait, they're triggering me. That wounded child is that girl in the
Yeah.
eighth grade class that got sent. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Can
So
I
like
ask you a
that
Absolutely.
question,
stuff that
Laurie?
I didn't know that was happening to me. Like I didn't, it's crazy.
Can I
And
ask
then
you
did
a
you also
question?
look back and say, oh, these steps in my life, these choices I made
Yeah,
now make sense to me?
totally. Even,
I'm sorry for cutting you off,
yeah,
Kristen.
yeah. Even like, um, I was always attracted to that like party guy. You know what I mean? That was fun and exciting. Like,
Hmm.
and gregarious type of personality. Um, I think, this trait thing, it was like, whole, and then there's affirmations, whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, I went home and I was like reading and reading and reading and just like, it was like a whoa, but it made everything make sense. And
Yeah.
I felt, seen and
Validated.
heard and stuff and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And
Validated.
validated. That's the word I was looking for. I felt validated in a lot of my little idiosyncrasies that
Mm.
it's not like I ever thought I was special and no one else was like me, but I was like, oh my God, this is all the makeup. Like this is my makeup.
Kristen, what was your question, hon?
So, like, you hear all the time, Laurie, that alcoholism is a family disease, right? So, I started going to Al Anon because of my child, because I was worried about my child. I subsequently learned that, I came from a dysfunctional family. My mother was a potential alcoholic. Um, I remain in these programs, and maybe you can speak to your relationship with your immediate family now, your children and such. I remain in those programs because I want to stop the dance, like the dance of dysfunction as best I can. I know there's dysfunction in my immediate family, but like,
Mhm.
do you find that by going to meetings, in particular, introducing ACA, that it helped kind of dispel some of the dysfunction within your immediate family with your kids, and you kind of broke some of those old patterns that we had, say, I was afraid. I wrote down all those things that you talked about. Like, I have abandonment issues. I'm an approval seeker. I feel a responsibility to others. I'm guilty. I'm not afraid of authority. But at least 6 of those I related to. But like, yeah, can you speak to your relationship with your kids now?
You are bringing up a very key thing that happened to me that I almost forgot about because it was so long ago or it feels like so long ago, right? Because it was 10 that what happened was I was all excited. And then you start reading these beginning pages of this book, and all of a sudden, I started thinking about my own kids and just thinking about everything I'd been through. And oh my gosh, am I going to pass the bundle on to them?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And they, like you just said, or am I going to um, break the cycle? And I just remember you know, if I looked, I could find the page. I'm sure it's marked. And there's a particular thing you read, and it just made me. I remember the first time we read it, and I was just crying, 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 like, wow, I hope my kids don't need to be in therapy for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? Like just thinking back on the before that, just the crazy times that you know, know that had occurred. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have to do this work because I have to try to stop it and reverse it. And like, is it too late? And one of the things that, like, because my son is 2 years older than my daughter, and a lot of things change in a very vulnerable time for him as as a teenager in high school and whatever. Um, I feel like there really is a difference between those two children.
Mm.
And
Mm.
we joke about it, and I'm gonna joke about it, and I don't know if he'll ever listen to this someday. Maybe my son will, right? It might be, but we make a joke because sometimes something will come up, and then Matthew will make a face or something, and I'll say, because you're traumatized, and I'll say, oh, because I traumatized you, ha ha ha, laugh, 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 because like he'll make a comment like about, just even if he hears my voice, even if he hears my voice in a loud, like I'm gonna yell.
Mm.
And I'm like, uh-oh, Matthew, and I recognize it. And like he and I have a very difficult, we're so much alike. There's a lot that, yeah, so I feel like what this did was like bring to light like everything I might have that he might have picked the bunk,
Okay.
that he
Yeah.
may be carrying
Yeah.
from. But I feel like because my daughter was 2 years younger and like things just drastically changed in a 2 year period, that it drastically changed part of who Mary is in her confidence. She's always had a lot of confidence, but I just feel like, it's like a little thing, like she got the better of me.
Yep. That's what, yeah. I wanted you to say it. I don't
You did.
I have a kid who I feel like got the better of me too. Yeah. Like, yeah.
But then there were so many times where I was like struggling with a lot of things about myself. And there's a whole thing that weaves into this that had Lyme disease and Bartonella and was really ill physically during like a very critical phase of this whole um, become my husband becoming sober at the same
Hmm.
time, but right before that. And I was literally in bed and like it was bad. And so again, my son got just almost like the worst of me at the most important time of his life. And then Mary, whatever. But I remember being so determined to be better physically and mentally for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was which he doesn't even know that really,
Mhm.
probably. But I would that's what I because there was a time in one day and we had a very volatile argument and there were things said and I'm not going to repeat them because it's
Mhm.
private by him to me and they really impressed upon me like that this like dysfunction
Mm.
had 100% was now infiltrated in his and
Mm.
he's I don't
How old was he when this conversation took place?
he was probably 17.
Mhm.
What do you think sparked it? Like, was he going off to college, or was he like hitting a really like a life milestone that made him sort of
I
be
think it was
somewhat
just like
reflective on his life? Like, what do you
it was one of
think?
the darkest of times for me, and he was observing it and witnessing
Mm.
it.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
And so this thing came out of his mouth, and I was just like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
I
But
got to
here's
really
the
get it
here,
together." You know what I mean? This is what my
Mm,
son thinks, and that's probably too much even. I don't
yeah,
want
but here's the beauty of it. Okay, not there's every single one of us on here is a mom.
yeah.
And we all carry, whether we were drinking or drugging while our child was alive or witnessed it, or it's not just the action of what we were doing during that time, it's what we were healing from and continue to heal from all these years later. And all we can do is show them that we're not ignoring our that trait of ours. We're trying to make ourselves be better. And your son, like, yeah, the shit hit the fan, and it was a very trying time, but all he's got to do is go into your office and see these books and books
Mm.
and workbooks and pamphlets and all of that, and he knows that
yeah, I mean, but a lot of yeah.
you've not said, that's not who I am. I never did that. I never said that. Like, he knows that you are acknowledging it and trying to get better. And it does not happen overnight. All you can do is it's practice, not perfection. Progress,
Yeah.
not perfection, And
I do have
so,
a question
Yeah.
about how all these tie in. Because I do know from 12 step that, you'll either like you have to work these steps in order, right? And
mhm,
then they also could be the focal point of a meeting, like you meet
topic.
about step 4 or
Yeah.
whatever. Similar in Al-Anon and ACA, more importantly, ACA, like did you have to make amends with your alcoholic parents or mother? I don't know. I don't remember where in the timeline that your dad passed. So I don't, and I know that he never really lived around us when we were growing
Um,
up.
so like he left when I was 10. So Amy would have, no,
Mm, okay.
um, it
Your
would have
sisters.
been,
You had two younger sisters,
mhm.
2 years and then another 2 years, right?
Yeah. So the thing
So
is,
8 and 6.
I'm reminding, so the the yellow book makes you go through, um, and it's actually not, it is slightly different. You don't have to share your things that you do, your inventory and your things that you spell out and your stuff about, or you can or cannot, but I did.
With your
Do you get a
sponsor or with
sponsor
the
with
whole?
Oh,
ACA as
with my
well?
sponsor, you go
Good
through the
Okay,
whole
question.
thing. But
gotcha.
you don't have to, it's not a thing that you have to with
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 the
your
fellowship. Yeah.
yeah, with your parent,
Oh,
your
with your parent.
actual
Okay,
physical parent.
But you do
You
gotcha.
get a sponsor for ACA
I
as
mean, it was
well,
the
the
same way.
ACA
Like
type program. Okay.
I approached the person that I really
Hmm.
liked and I asked them. But
Yeah.
because to be honest, it's like I'm looking at my book where it says it's like you can or cannot, and they say if you want to and you want to seek out the people, and the whole thing. Like sometimes you
Hmm.
can track those people down, and sometimes you can't. Um,
Now, when you started and you found this fellowship, was your parents sober in AA at that point?
yes.
Okay, so I don't, this is a really naive question. And there's nothing easy about any of this. But
No.
does it make it a little easier when the parent or the person in question is working a 12-step program themselves to be able to let go of those resentments and that anger and do the work because they're doing the work? Is it harder when this person, either a spouse in Al-Anon or a parent in ACA, is still actively in their addiction? Is it harder for you, the person trying to break free from that? Did I make sense?
I think there, I mean, I guess because I didn't have it the other way, but like at um at the point that I was going through my my yellow book and whatnot, and I was my mother was aware of it. I'm trying to
She's
think if
supportive.
she had done her amends with me already. So yes, I would say that, it made it probably easier for me to even be like really, really honest, although I never had that problem, but like, be like, well, if she can do that, right? And be really, really honest. I can write down
Hmm.
every gory thing that I want to write down. And this stuff is like, a lot of this is really about you and nothing to do, like a lot, I want to get into these grid worksheets that they have you write up. Nothing to do with your parents sometimes.
Yeah.
Well,
Right. I
uh,
mean, I think it would probably speak back to your reaction to their behavior and the trauma and the patterns,
Mhm.
right?
yes, but it's also more about just like your own. Yes, there is, because when I'm just kind of looking through it to remind myself, like yeah, your family secrets, your da, da, da. But then there's stuff like your harms worksheet. Like who have I harmed and abandoned and neglected? What I did that,
As a reaction to or as
As a
a
result.
learned pattern
yeah.
from your childhood or just in general or both.
I think it's just a learned pattern of you, like you don't want to be abandoned, so you turn around and you abandon friends.
Mhm.
You know, I have I do, I'm gonna say laundry. I have a list of people that these were some that were, and that goes back to like some people in Connecticut, some people in Pennsylvania. They were really close friends of mine. And then one day they said something that really offended me and really hurt me. And I was like, I got a zero tolerance for that. You're gone.
Poof.
Mm,
Yeah,
Gone.
I can relate.
Someone I was in your wedding. You're gone.
mm,
And they were like, what? And I was like, nope, bye-bye. That was the unhealed me.
right.
Your
Hmm.
apology, you can apologize to me 10 times. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Well,
right?
and
So is
that's the
that, so would
wall.
that be an example of somebody you go back to and make amends with because your reaction to that was from an
Yes. And to be
unhealed
honest,
place?
I tried to find 3 of these people and I cannot find them back then.
Mm.
Literally can't find them. From
And
Connecticut,
so
from
how does that work?
Pennsylvania.
I'm going to ask all three of
Crazy.
you. How does that work in the programs that you all are involved in? Is that, you were honestly trying to make amends and you can't find the person, or do you just let it go and move on?
You put it in your God box, the people tell you make a little God box and you
Mm-hmm.
literally write it down. Like you've done all the work. You've written it all out. I'm going to hold it way back so no one can actually see it, right? You
Mm-hmm.
fill out the grid
Mm-hmm.
and now you've written it out. And then you can write in your thing like yeah, that's what my sponsor in Al-Anon said. Write a little note to the person that and I've written things to my dad who's passed,
Yeah.
you know, and things that you wanted to say and
Mm-hmm.
fold it up and put it in your little
But for me, I
but
feel like if you yeah, so there were people, this is, I got sober before the age of texting and cell phones. And I mean, we had cell phones, but they were flip phones, like, and I didn't have any, so I sent
And
letters to
not
some
everybody had
people.
one.
Yeah, not everybody had one. But I also believe that I truly believe that if there's somebody I can't get in touch with, that's for a reason. And when the time arrives that I'm meant to be in touch with that person and make amends, my higher power will show them to me or vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. And if they've passed away, it's a letter or, it's something like something in your God box because you if you carry it inside of you, that is when it
Right.
starts to eat you alive. And then you're gonna react in an unhealthy way to that.
mm.
So,
So here's my God
Interesting.
box.
oh, who's that? He's so
Got a
cute.
sad face, right?
Yeah,
It's for all the
It's
dead
quite small.
people.
Mine is this big. I'm
I
just kidding.
I
know.
mean, it's shit. Like the shit
Oh,
is
they're
I got a
Here's
everywhere.
mine.
dumpster out back.
I
Yeah,
love
like
I got a
I
landfill.
I burn them every once in a while, but like this is for dead people and people that
Oh,
I can't contact
them. Yeah.
because of whatever reasons. I mean, we all have reasons why we
Yeah.
can't reach out to someone or why,
Right.
you know,
Right.
people have people that they have restraining orders against, that
Mm-hmm.
they might owe
Yeah.
potential amends to. And I would say too, like, one of the things that I maybe failed at is, and I have a sponsor. I I was not. They say there's certain people you got to be careful making amends to because you're going to open Pandora's box.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple times, so this is why
You put it in the God
this
box.
little
Yeah.
guy is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you're
and it says,
doing this with no expectation of the reaction from, and what happens when there's a not so positive reaction from the person receiving the amends?
you have to go into it knowing that that's a very good chance, depending
Mm-hmm.
on, how
Mm-hmm.
deep the wound is and what you did.
Okay.
And I made amends to two people that were very close to me via um letters. And one of them was like, don't even bother. I don't, return to sender. Fine. And
Mm-hmm.
the other one, I didn't hear anything from until 20 years later when I saw her. God placed her in my life. And I said, let's grab a bite or coffee or whatever. And we did, and we made amends. And I made amends. And she said to me, when she read my letter, she said, I just cried my eyes out. She said, but I just could never get it together enough to call you. She said, because I knew that it was a lot of my fault of what happened. And I just was never ready to admit that. And she's not in a program. Listen, she knows nothing about the disease of alcoholism and addiction. So rightfully so. She didn't know. I was going through a program where people were teaching me the right way to clean up my mess and to make amends and to clean up my life. A lot of
Hmm.
these people don't have that. So they don't know how to react or what to say or whatever. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. It's okay if they react like that.
And is
Um,
the amends step in all three of these fellowships or all three of these programs in the same order? Like in the
we're
same,
yeah, what's the step in the ACA for amends? Or
What
do
do
they
you
have
mean
one?
in the same order?
Like ours is
so
step 8 and 9.
All right, let me look. I gotta remind myself I have it in the, because like I said,
Yeah, like step 1 in Al-Anon is the same as AA.
yeah,
Admitted we were powerless.
where's my, hold on,
I
I
just
just
don't know
had it.
AC. I don't know
It's
the
in here,
ACA
it's right
one.
here. It's at the beginning.
I gotta say too, while Lori's looking, I never, knock on wood, there's still more amends to be made, I guess. I don't know, or maybe I have future amends, but I have never had a person be a dickhead to me about an
Mm,
amends I was making. They were all, or say, not even necessary, or say, I can't accept that from you, or I'm just, return to sender, like you said, Deb. Like
yeah.
it was, I I
just,
lucked out in that regard. I mean, maybe I
were
forgot.
they all in person, Kristen, or did you have some,
Definitely not.
uh,
No, I had some phone calls. I had some um uh, letters way back in the day for sure. Like Deb
yeah.
talked about. I wrote some
Hmm.
letters, but most of mine were in person. And my sponsor was like, I could dig way back, which I think in
Hmm.
Al-Anon is probably like that part of my life. I don't need to go too far back, like settle down,
Hmm.
like to
Yeah.
the important people. And those were my
Hmm.
parents, my spouse, my children who all love me and want to see me succeed.
Hmm.
Debbie, like just like people that it wasn't like the lady in the grocery store that I was a bitch to. Like I wasn't going that far. And
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
an extreme, but some sponsors have their sponsees go really dig deep.
That far back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
and I didn't have to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Are
So
you
these are
shitting in your
pretty,
pants when you're ready to do this? Like,
No.
I didn't. I was psyched.
I
You're
mean, I think you're
so
you've written it so long, you've been talking about it for so long, and but
okay.
And you're just ready. You just want forgiveness. You want to get on with life. And you
Yeah.
truly are like sorry about doing what you did,
Yeah.
yeah,
that
Hmm.
it's people want to make amends right away. We have to say, sit down,
Yes.
stay
Yeah.
calm.
yeah.
We got to
Yeah.
get through the 8 and 9
So there must,
steps.
all right, so there's a reason why it's step 8 or 9, because at that point you're ready
Absolutely.
for it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's basically these are, I mean, these read to me exactly like the Al-Anon's
Hmm.
steps. So it is the same. It's 4 is the inventory and 9 is the
Hmm.
correct amends. The and all the steps, if you read them, like there's very little verbiage change to Al-Anon. So and I
Mhm.
think in AA, I think it's very similar. There's might be a
Yeah.
few words. So I
Just
think
keep
I think
alcohol out of
just
it.
like number one is the effects of alcoholism or other family dysfunction that our lives have become unmanageable.
Yes.
Powerless
Right.
over the effects of alcohol. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
Yeah.
like a little word or other family dysfunction. And came to believe the power greater than ourselves restores sanity. Blah blah blah. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood God. Keeps going. It's the same.
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah.
same. They're
Okay.
not.
And there's a reason for that. And like Sue, the fact
Yeah.
that, because if you are so eager to make amends to somebody without doing the work on yourself and
Hmm.
up into, and that person is returned to sender, it's gonna hurt.
Mm.
It is gonna
Yeah.
hurt
Good
to the
point.
Yeah.
point where you're
Yes.
like,
You could drink.
You're
you
right.
get the effets, you get the
Yeah.
Yeah.
buckets. Like
You didn't
why
you
am I
didn't
even
even
doing this?
yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't
So
get a chance type of thing.
right. So you have
Yeah.
to do the proper work before so you're prepared for any answer that comes your
Right.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
some people have to make amends to people because they killed their child in a car accident,
Mm.
like that major.
Right.
And if you, yeah, it's a lot. So, anyways,
And beware
continue
of
on.
exes, beware of ex-boyfriends and girlfriends.
Yeah, sometimes they just want to hurt you back.
Or
And
they're a slippery slope,
Yeah, I think,
like
yeah.
well,
I think it's
I
time to
yeah, this was amazing. I learned
it
so
is
much
amazing.
about
Such
ACA.
and a great education for everybody. Everybody. Whether you have an addict in your life or not, or whether you grew up in that type of environment. I mean, just the personal work
Mm,
that we have all done on ourselves to make the people in our lives and the world a little better place is amazing.
Yeah,
Doesn't really matter how we got here, right? It's that you're doing the work.
we're doing the
right.
work.
So there is a saying that ACAers will say, um, from my friends that are in AA and people that are in AA, they say that they went to AA to get sober and they went to ACA to learn how to live.
Mm,
Oh, I
And
love that. That
there's a
is
lot of
perfect.
people that it's not that it's more common that like Al-Anoners go to ACAs, but a lot of the people in ACA are people that were in AA for years
mhm.
and years and years. Some of them, like my friend that introduced me, he was having the same kind of feeling, because he'd been in AA a long, 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 long time. And then someone else kind of tapped him and told him. And
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then
I
he
can
was
see
like, then
that.
he told me, and then like I remember after my first meeting, he was like, and then actually we even became closer friends over that because then I would be like, we do little side red book meetings. Then people started forming like, then he was like, I know a bunch of people want to do the yellow book as a group. Some people do and don't because it's very kind of intense, but there was a group of people that started and I did start doing that. And then I realized that I didn't want to do that. And that's when I asked that person. But a lot of people do, um, whatever, you don't need to call it double dipping, but a lot of people do end up, um, yeah, that's just a little saying. And again, I think like Sue, you were saying yesterday, it doesn't matter. The person on the street that has it's like you could just learn so much. Hey,
Hmm.
like everyone might not have all of these. They might have
Yeah.
one or two or three, but like just to like it's the writing and the journaling that it prompts you to do and the deep thinking about like why
Right.
am I like that? Why do I have that?
Right.
Why do I get triggered so easily? I mean, that stuff. So, I
You
mean,
know, and it's not really to lay blame. It's
no.
to just have a better understanding of who you are and what you're putting out in the world. I mean, truly.
Putting
You
out
know.
to your own children too.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. I
learning
mean,
how to
yeah.
not letting the ripple effect of your whatever trauma
Yeah.
Hmm.
interfere with
Mhm.
them,
Yeah.
so
Can I
thank
ask
you so
one
much.
more question before
Hmm.
we wrap up to Lori? Lori, would you, for someone who's thinking about going to ACA, would you recommend, like, if I'll just speak for myself, if I were to order that red book and start reading it prior to going to a meeting, do you think I would be able to read that book and go, "Yup, ACA is for me"? Like, would you recommend that, or would you recommend going to a meeting and then seeing if it was for you? And because a lot of
A
people I
great
know like to
question.
get the book, like I really read the big book at home back in 95 when I first started because I was like pretty sure I wanted to do AA. So, like
It's a
what do
great
you have to say
question.
about that?
Yeah. I'm just looking at like the first few pages, like what is it? It's like the laundry list and and the first the introduction is one of my favorite. So actually I think you would get because of your history, I think you would get a lot out of just reading it, but I do think that going to a meeting, um like I think you could get the red book and start reading it, and then I think you would be like, I want to go to a
I
meeting.
want
But
to find.
like if you resonated with this, like this plant, this pamphlet that they hand out, which I have a bunch of them because I always am like, I just love having it because then I can stick them anywhere. But that, those things, oh, sorry, this is types of sponsorship. That's another one. But this little trifold, you know, um, like, that resonated with you. And then on the back is the affirmations and the thing. Like, that's the first 10 minutes of the meeting,
Mm.
and then after that, it's like, it's awesome. It's the same type of roundtable discussion and whatever. And like, I loved the meetings personally for ACA. I really did. Um, but I think you would because you are already in another program. Like you would be no stranger to like this type of writing and the doctor's opinion. It's kind of written the way, you know what I mean? Like
I
it's
just
got a
feel
lot of
like
similarities, but
there's no better gift than meeting somebody who is going through or has gone through what you are going through or gone through, because that the power of that and that just knowing that you're not alone in any of this.
Huh.
And, things can be very different. You just have to make that first step.
I
Take
just
that
think the
first step.
closest meeting is West Hartford, so it's.
Oh, who wants to go to West Hartford? Well, there might be a Zoom meeting too. I don't know. Check that
Oh,
out too,
I gotta
sweetheart.
check that out.
Check
I'm
that out.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway.
they have their own little serenity prayer on the front, and I always forget that too. And that's like the serenity prayer is one of those things like I must repeat it. I don't know how many times throughout the day when I get frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
But this is their own little flavor. God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to
No,
know that
that
one is
one is
me.
me.
But
Yeah.
but they
Nice.
say that is the ACA serenity prayer. So
Yes.
you've probably heard that, Deb, but that supposedly is
It is the ACA, yeah. And my friend says it during some of our meetings just because that's what she needs to hear. And I think it's great.
yeah, and
So,
it I think yeah, I hope you can get to one because I think you would enjoy it.
Mm. I
I
have
do.
friends that have
But
gone that say it's really helpful, so
yeah.
it's just a
same.
matter of me
Yeah.
getting off my ass and doing it.
And hopefully anybody who's listening today got something out of this and you can connect with any single one of us. Just send us an email or DM us or whatever. And if you want to get in touch with Laurie, just connect with one of us and we'll reach out to her and share your her info if she says that that's okay. But I'm sure people have learned one, if not many things from
Oh,
this conversation.
yeah. Email address is rewind and reflect with us at Gmail. The and is spelled out. And Laura, I'm
Thank
So
you.
taking a little piece of my heart back with you. So
Mm.
hopefully we'll see you again and have you on again. And it
Mhm.
was so great to hear your story. And I am always a huge fan of women our age, willing and ready to do the work to just make things a little more enlightened and better. So I
Mhm.
applaud you, and I'm grateful that we reconnected and that you're here.
Mm.
thank you so much, you guys. It's been really awesome and kind of what I was saying to Deb, like to reflect,
Mm,
like what the name of your thing, like really to reflect on everything. It's
Yeah.
actually, yeah, it's been
yeah,
very nice to talk
yeah,
to you guys, you ladies.
good,
Well,
good.
hopefully you'll come back.
Mhm.
Yes, for sure. We need
I
a guest
will.
spot for
Yes,
sure.
indeed.
All right.
All right, everybody. Till next
Bye,
week. Love you.
everybody.
Namaste. Lots
Love
of
Namaste.
love.
you.
Bye.
Bye.